Welcome, everybody, to the Entrepreneur Period podcast, where we talk everything entrepreneurship, from the ups to the downs, the lefts and the rights, whether you're already an entrepreneur, thinking about becoming an entrepreneur, or you just want to hear the stories. Hopefully we can bring you value and improve your journey. I'm your host, CJ the Smart Guy, and before you listen, make sure you follow me on your favorite social media platform at CJ the Smart Guy. So the way I got started with my entrepreneur period life, we can go back to 2015, and this is when I was working for the railroad. And they were working me a lot. I was an accountant, and I was working long hours, and I always felt like there's got to be more to life. You know, I feel like God's given us energy, He's given us time, He's given us talents and skills, and I was using them all to make money. And me personally, I'm not extremely religious. I believe in God 100%, and I do read my Bible. However, I'm not extremely religious. And so when I was looking at the time, the energy, the talents, and the skills that I was using it all pretty much to make a living, to make money. And one thing the Bible says is that you can't serve God and mammon, meaning you can't serve God and money. And I feel like a lot of people look at that verse and they're saying, well, I'm not serving money. But I look at it as if you're spending all your time, your energy, and all your blessings that God has given you for money, then you are essentially serving money. And so, flashback to 2015, this is when Sandra Bland had gotten pulled over and she wound up being hung, and she wound up dying in police custody. And that completely changed my whole outlook on life in itself. And so earlier I had created an episode called #content creator that was inspired by Sandra Bland. The quality was really bad. I just went into it and started learning it. But let's go back to 2015 first. So 2015, Sandra Bland died, and I was watching her videos. And as I was watching one of her videos, she said something very, very, very important. She said, "It's time, y'all. It's time. This thing that I'm holding in my hand, this telephone, is quite powerful. Social media is powerful. We can do something with this. If we want to change, we really, truly can make it happen." And so with those words, it inspired me to create my social media presence, where I started creating videos on financial empowerment and financial literacy. And not just that, but when you look at her life, who Sandra Bland really was, she originally had a job where she felt the same way that I felt, where there's got to be more to this. And she disagreed with their moral values. And so she quit her job to then go fulfill her purpose at Prairie View A&M University to become, an advisor. And so while she was getting there, that's when she was arrested and she died. But her videos lived on. And so for me, this was extremely powerful, because here I am watching in retrospect. Those videos had come out way before. And she was always talking about how, you don't have to believe in God. But on her, Sandy Speaks, she's going to talk about God. And so she always put God first. She left her job. She talked about God. She created her videos. And then when she died, it wasn't the death that I'm focused on, but it's the life. It's the fact that she left behind a legacy to where now we can look at her blueprint and then duplicate it. And I think that's beautiful. And so that's essentially what I started, taking my leap of faith. I left my job in 2016, the year after Sandra Bland had died. And I essentially did the same thing. I created my own videos, created, my social media presence with financial power, financial literacy videos and educating people on finances, because I feel like, we can fight for social justice, but we really need equity. We need to own something so that we can actually, have power into some things. I feel like if you have an oppressor, begging them for something isn't the right way. I feel like you got to do it with force, or you got to do it through strategy. And so I'm on the strategy side, and I try to empower people. And so when it comes to the entrepreneur period mindset, it's like, okay, well, I left my job. I'm going to do this and I'm going to make it work. And so, flash forward, when I first started my podcast, I had that #content creator inspired by Sandy Speaks. And, the quality was bad. I was doing my own editing, I was doing my own recording, I was just learning the process. And, you know, some people listened to it. Some people were like, hey, this is great content. Some people were like, man, the quality is really bad. I can't listen to this at all. You need to step your game up. But either way, I went out there and did it. And so now this is my third podcast series. And you can tell the improvement in terms of, how I'm presenting, in terms of how it's edited, in terms of how it's presented. And so my message to you is, don't worry about your edits. Don't worry about, the production level. If you feel inspired on the internal, if God is speaking to you to do something, go ahead and do it. Don't wait, don't try to run away from it like Jonah did, get swallowed by a whale. Nah, you go ahead and do that. You face it, you face it head on, because at the end of the day, you're going to have to face, trials and tribulations anyway. So why not do it, what you prepared for, and you going for it all the way? That's the entrepreneur period mindset. And it is inspired by Sandra Bland. So hopefully you guys learn something from this. Hopefully you guys put God first, stay prayed up. The whole time I've been, on my entrepreneur journey, I pray every single day, read the Bible consistently. And I'm beginning to surround myself by people who, are on a similar type of journey. It's very difficult to surround yourself by people who don't comprehend the entrepreneur lifestyle. Lots of people say, well, why don't you just have a job? You could be more secure. But then when you look at what happened, with COVID, a lot of people lost their jobs. A lot of people lost, their pensions and their 401ks, and lots of craziness happened. And so I thank God I put God first, because we walk by faith, not by sight. So if God is instructing you to do something, you just go ahead and do it. So when God instructed me to leave my job, I went out and did it. Along the way, God had told me to move to Virginia. So I did it. And I went out there and I was able to help out family. I had no idea that, my cousin was going to die before I'd already made the decision to move out there. And when he died, I was able to help out family. And so, follow God, listen to what he's saying. Don't just trust your own judgments. Listen to God, because we walk by faith, not by sight. CJ the Smart Guy, entrepreneur period. Put God first. I'm out.
Deuce. Thank you for joining me on my entrepreneur period podcast journey. Hopefully you can apply some of the things that we discussed in your own journey. My goal is to empower you mentally, spiritually, as well as financially. So in order to support me to support you, I need you to go onto www.cjthesmartguy.com, as well as follow me on all platforms such as Twitter, Instagram at CJ the Smart Guy. And remember, stay stacking G's and stack sats. Deuce.